Did you know that kimchi is the national food of Korea? A lot of different people around the world, bloggers, fitness influencers, nutritionists, dietitians, talk about the health benefits of kimchi. One of the reasons they state is that it's fermented, and there's live bacteria, and that's really good for your gut health and all that digestive health. But there's also, it's a vegetable, and there's cabbage, and there's a lot of other spices in this stuff too, and that's great for vitamins and minerals and other things that come along with that. But what does the clinical research say about the benefits of kimchi? Today I'm looking at a clinical trial and a lot of supporting research that looks at the health benefits of kimchi. So let's take a look. What's up everyone, my name's Henrik and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm looking at a clinical study looking at the bacteria found in kimchi and studying its effects on health of people who are typically overweight. This study was published in June of 2020 by Dr. Soo Lim and others from the Seoul National University College of Medicine in Korea. As I said before, kimchi is basically fermented cabbage with some other vegetables and other spices. It tastes really good and you can eat it with meat and other foods and on its own, like I typically do. But besides it tasting really good, many places consider it to be a superfood because it can be very healthy for you. On the other hand, a lot of places online consider it to be very overhyped and not really worth it. And in some cases, you just need to eat a lot of it to actually get the benefits that other places are saying. The reason why kimchi, as opposed to other vegetables, is primarily because it's fermented. In short, that means over a period of time, growth is occurring with bacteria. And lots of foods out there are fermented, like cheese, beer, sauerkraut, and a lot of other things. So not all bacteria is bad. In fact, if you didn't have bacteria inside you, you'd probably die, because bacteria is very important for digestion and gut health and your intestines and your stomach. And so that's why it's not necessarily a bad thing to have bacteria. But today's study looks at the effects of one of the bacteria found in kimchi, Lactobacillus Sakei, or CJLS03, which is its abbreviation, and looking at the effects of it on health. So let's dive into it. Looking at the study design, this was a clinical trial studying 114 men and women aged between 20 and 65 who had a BMI greater than 25. Greater than 25 is clinically overweight, so the research in today's study was looking specifically at overweight people. All participants could not be taking any anti-obesity medications or anti-diabetic medications, or realistically any other supplements that could affect your body mass. In this study, there were two main groups, the intervention group and the placebo group. Both groups took 2 pills a day of something for 12 weeks. The intervention group took 2 pills a day filled with the bacteria that is derived from kimchi, and the placebo group took 2 pills a day of sugar, or a placebo pill. Specifically in the intervention group, the bacteria pills were filled with 5 times 10 to the 9 colony-forming units of the L-Sakei, and that amount seems to be the normal amount found in normal servings of kimchi, so that's pretty standard. But besides this, the diets were exactly the same, besides taking these 2 pills. Additionally, both groups also regularly exercised, so that's something important to note. As shown in this figure, everything was analyzed before and after the 12 weeks. They measured a lot of things at these 2 time points, like BMI, muscle and fat mass, fasting glucose levels, insulin resistance, various cholesterol levels, and lots of metabolism things like creatinine levels and liver enzymes. Let's take a look into the results. Looking at the results, at baseline, each group, interventional and control, had approximately the same levels, which is something you want to see because everyone should start at around the same place. Looking at table 2 here, relative to placebo, there were significant reductions in body fat, waist circumference, and abdominal visceral fat, and borderline reductions in BMI and body weight. But besides this, there weren't really any other significant changes, like no real changes in any of the blood biomarkers I discussed earlier. Okay, well, as I say with every study, I think this study was cool. But in this case, I think it's cool because they isolated something found in kimchi and looked to find its effects. Well, okay, but now you might be wondering, why would I break down this trial that had seemingly such minimal results? In short, clinical research like this is done to learn new things. That's obvious. But in many cases, you're not discovering a new disease or studying a completely new food. You're typically building on previous research or looking at a case from different perspectives, and I think that's what this study does a great job with. It builds on previously published research surrounding kimchi. So let's take a look and see what it actually builds upon. A crossover style study in 2011, looking at eating actual kimchi as opposed to bacteria found within, found decreases in cholesterol, body fat percentage, blood pressure, and it basically found that fermented kimchi can positively affect obesity and other metabolic processes. A study from 2013 found that fermented kimchi, as opposed to fresh kimchi, had positive effects on your body's insulin response and blood pressure. Additionally, both types of kimchi significantly decreased BMI and waist circumference. Another study from 2008, looking at very small versus very normal doses of kimchi, found decreases in cholesterol and fasting blood glucose. All of these three studies that I just said, plus today's study, shows a lot of different benefits, and that's really great, but they're not consistent. Some studies showed benefits in cholesterol and insulin resistance, while others showed benefits in weight loss, but not cholesterol, like today's study, for example. So there's really not too much overlap. Other studies looking at mice and in vitro studies studying cells specifically with kimchi seem to support reductions in inflammation, weight loss potential, lowering cholesterol, and even anti-cancer and anti-tuberculosis effects. So this makes it really hard to draw conclusions. However, in my opinion, clinical trials are the most important to look at, and I personally don't care as much for these mice studies. These types of studies are great for informing future research and providing a step in the right direction, but they really can't inform clinical practice. So after looking at today's study and other trials in the past, one thing is evident. No matter what study you're looking at, we see some benefits with seemingly no problematic side effects for eating kimchi. I'll also separately note that kimchi can have lots of vitamins and minerals like vitamin A, C, and K, and that can be beneficial in itself too. Now, as I'm reviewing this video, I'm trying to figure out if I missed anything or if there's anything I should expand upon. And one thing I did miss to talk about is that today's study only looked at a bacteria found in kimchi, not kimchi itself. And that's why it might not be 100% consistent with the other trials that I've talked about, but it is still something important to note, and it fits pretty well considering the bacteria L. Sakei is one of the main ones found in kimchi. And so it still provides some significant information, even though it might not give us the entire picture that we're looking for. Looking at a nice summary with some takeaways, today's clinical trial looked at a bacteria derived from kimchi intervention and found reductions in body fat, waist circumference, and abdominal visceral tissue. Other similar types of trials looking at kimchi have found a various combination of benefits, with your body's response to insulin, with reductions in inflammation and inflammatory markers, and decreases in cholesterol. However, the clinical trials, the previous ones and today's, seem to be relatively inconsistent, and there needs to be more research with this to clear the air. But all the studies suggest that there are some legitimate benefits to eating it. WebMD has a page discussing kimchi and its benefits, like with some of the things I've talked about today, but also how it has various vitamins which can be legitimately helpful. The way I see it is, I like the taste of kimchi, and it's relatively cheap, and I can realistically eat it with everything. I eat it often, and it's great that I could be experiencing some health benefits too. So at least now I know. And hopefully, now you know too, and you can use that to your advantage, or you can just never use it again. But regardless, knowledge is power, and now you have more of it, so good for you. But regardless, that's all I really had for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content, and don't forget to leave a comment about what you liked about this video or with other topics you'd like to hear about. But thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something. Have a good one.